Hello, listeners. Does listening to this podcast make you think, hey, I'd like to make my own podcast, but you're not sure how to go about it? Well, you could always use our sponsor, Anchor. You could go to anchor.fm or to the App Store on whatever phone you're using and just get everything that you need to start your own podcast, from easy monetization to the ability to record your podcast directly through the app or on the website, or the ability to monetize and get paid pretty much immediately. So if you want to do that, go ahead and go to anchor.fm or search Anchor in the App Store on your phone.
What's
up? And of course, the moment that you guys
Hey, bros.
I have to pee, so hold on.
Having to pee?
I know, right?
Damn it.
These biological urges fucking sick.
Just don't take the phone in there.
No. We gotta record you taking a poop and or pee.
I just gotta pee, and you guys obviously
The
didn't
pee
hear it,
with
so
the poo.
You're fine.
We don't need a.
That came out with the poo.
We don't need a.
Play of me having my bodily functions happen.
With your bodily functions. You started this, and then you're like, "Oh shit, I gotta."
Well, we're waiting on Jeremy anyway, and I'm already done. So shut it.
No, I don't want to. I want to make it super annoying now.
Don't you always?
Yeah. It's just how I'm made, man. Jeremy needs to hurry his titties up, though.
Right?
I'm born to make things
What's he
awkward.
do? He's always fashionably late every time.
I know. I might have.
It's like, oh shit, I had to take a shit. I'm sorry. No.
I might have to like dip out and play the diabetes card.
Diabetes. So we're just talking about bullshit in this one?
Not bullshit. Basically,
no, I was just saying, like, we're just talking about whatever that we were doing at the time.
I mean, if you're dealing with bullshit,
whatever pop culture stuff that you're doing to deal with not being able to leave the fucking house all the time.
Well, I mean, it's different now, but still.
Well,
no, I'm actually working again, but yeah, I get your drift. Oh, okay. It looks like Jeremy's in now.
I mean, technically, I'd be working if it wasn't for the fact that I'm dealing with stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, just waiting on Jeremy to start talking. I see him in the chat.
Yeah, I was just not going to talk over you guys.
Well, damn it, Jeremy. Why not?
I was making sure it wasn't like a... Oh, I actually have my thing on mute for some reason.
Nope.
All right. So I guess we'll get started at 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
Okay.
I just hope my power don't go out again.
Is your phone charged?
Yeah, enough.
You'll be fine.
We're going to talk until your phone battery dies, Josh. That's how we roll.
Okay.
All right, I guess we'll be going to 3 minutes 45 seconds.
Sorry.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Fill in the Blank podcast here at the Heart of Geek. Well, if you've been here before and you know the way that we normally do things, it's going to be changing for this episode because basically we've been filling in the blank on plot holes. We've been filling in the blanks that allow two movie universes to take place in the same universe. But this week, we're going to be talking about the things that are able to fill the blank in the crazy time we're going on right now, where sometimes you can't really leave the house and do the kind of stuff that you want to do. So you kind of just sometimes find new things to do or go back to the same old things that you haven't done in a long time. So that's what this one's about. It's just going to be a free sort of thing. There's no real structure to it. But this week, we're not actually going to do a Just Add Bacon, since this is an unconventional episode.
Damn it.
Damn it, Steven. Why are we not doing one?
The one time I wanted bacon.
Yeah, we need more bacon.
I'm sorry. I figured this was a free-flowing one and that we wouldn't do that this
Damn
time.
it, you being behind, Steven. You're slacking. No.
Well, then you have something to look forward to next time. But anyway, so who wants to get started?
Well, I guess I will this time. I'll start first. But pretty much the main thing that I was doing, I guess we could talk about movies or like games or whatever. I guess anything nerdy or whatever.
Anything.
Okay, well, my main stuff was like pretty much doing the whole. I mean, of course, now I'm back at work now, but before during the quarantine, I was doing pretty much just watching movies and catching up on movies that I wasn't watching before because of like either time constraints or whatever, and then like playing a lot of video games and trying to beat a lot of the ones that I was not beating before. So
like what?
Like I had Watch Dogs 2 for the longest time. I think about like 2 or 3 years or something. Like it was like 6 months after after the second one came out, I had it, and then I was playing it little bit by little bit, and then I stopped playing it for the longest time. And then knowing that the quarantine happened and I was only doing so much, I was like, I might as well finish it. So I finished that, and then I I was starting to watch. I'm trying to think of the movies that I was watching. I know there were certain movies that I didn't watch before, mostly on Netflix stuff. Like I was finally able to start catching up on The Flash and Arrow and everything because I haven't done cable, so I've been watching most of the DC shows, and then I still haven't finished Swamp Thing though. Like I still want to watch it, even though that they're going to cancel it. But mostly I was just playing a lot of video games because I didn't have anything to do. Like mostly Animal Crossing. I bought that like right after the quarantine happened, so I was doing that like every day.
Yeah,
and
we still play the crap out of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always
Especially
like one of the easy games where you could just sit there and play for like hours or whatever. Like,
yeah, and the seasons just changed for as far as like fish and stuff. So, Amy just got a friggin' great white shark and an arapaima and all these big old fish, and I'm like, rude.
Yeah, I know, right? Like I wanted to get an oarfish, and it seems like most of the shit that keeps on spawning for me is like a lot of the same. Like I was finally able to get this diving beetle like the other day because it just finally spawned in my camp, and I was like, what the hell? Like most of the stuff that I keep on getting spawned at my area, like I'm behind on cherries and peaches. That's the only thing that I need right now so I can make more trees. But I got a shit ton of orange trees, apple trees, and everything. Like I got a bunch of coconuts. I don't like have a whole bunch of crap on my thing.
You could have just asked for my friend code because I have like every type of fruit on my island.
I'm like I've been trying to get to people's islands on there too, and then they're like every time it's like I hate how you can't just randomly go to like one of your friends' places on it. Like you have to approve that people could go to your island before you could go. I hate that aspect, but I mean, other than that, it's all right. I still haven't even made it to somebody's island yet.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand some of it to make sure that you can't just go to somebody's island and trash the crap out of it and then be like, and leave. But, I mean, Animal Crossing's fun, man. It's just like one of those, like, and you could play it for 5 minutes or 7 freaking hours and, like, still have fun depending on what you're doing.
And I think Stardew Valley is also another game that kind of, like, goes away from that mold. I mean, granted, it's a little bit different, like, how everything looks, but that game reminds me so much of, like, early Animal Crossing games because they do the same stuff. The only difference is...
And, like, harvest.
Yeah, like, the only difference, really, that I see about it is doing the... where, like, instead of Animal Crossing, how you go to other islands, Stardew Valley does, like, mining stuff where you could go down and mine stuff. But really, it's like about the same type of game, just a little bit different. I think Animal Crossing is just like
I think the coolest thing about Stardew Valley is that it's made, like, everything from, like, the game to the music is all made by one dude.
Couldn't get out of their house. But yeah, that's pretty much what I was doing, at least. So anybody else could jump in, I guess.
Not everyone go at once, right?
Yeah, right.
I guess I'll go next. I've been doing a lot of. Well, I was actually working during the quarantine because I was deemed essential, so I was working reduced shifts from home. But in my spare time, I did. Been doing a lot of retro gaming stuff. So I've been trying to retro bright my Dreamcast, restored my wife Judy's Nintendo to play games again. So I've been doing a lot of retro stuff. I recreated labels for my Sega Genesis collection that needed new labels because they were actually damaged. Or all these games looks like Josh just dipped out. Hopefully he comes back. I've been doing a lot of retro gaming type stuff.
There he is.
And
okay, that was weird.
So I've been doing that. I did the review of Scoop for the YouTube channel. I'm planning on doing a review for the Justice League movie that just came out a few months ago. I just haven't sat down and watched it yet. And I'm working on a bigger project for the channel. So it's really...
Are you talking about are you wanting to do the Apocalypse War one, the Justice League Dark one, or is it a different one?
It's that one. It's the Apocalypse one, because it's supposed to be ending the new 52-ish line of that. Because all the recent DC movies, except for a few, have all been in one continuity. Like starting with Justice League War and the Flashpoint Paradox and all that stuff like that. That's all been one continuity with the Teen Titans and Teen Titans versus the Justice League and the new Death of Superman, which was actually better than Superman Doomsday that came out years ago. Those all been one continuity. And so they're changing it up after that. And except for like some of the Elseworlds stuff, like when they released the animated version of Batman by Gaslight, which is completely different from the comic book, or when they did even Batman Hush, which they changed a lot of stuff, was still kind of in that new 52-ish animated style. And so I want to give that one a go because I've heard good things about it. So I want to offer my thoughts. The only other thing I've really been doing is doing things around the house. We recently bought a house about 6-7 months ago. So I've been doing like honey-do lists and stuff like that, keeping busy with like decorating my office, fixing the few things that have gone wrong, fixed the busted water pipe. I've been actually kind of just working so much, like I didn't really have any downtime. So, the next thing on my list is I have the USS Enterprise Mega Blocks, and so I got that a few years ago for Christmas, and I've been really wanting to put that together, but I've been sick the last few days, so sitting at a table for 8 hours hasn't felt exciting. but that's actually going to be the next thing I do. I might start that tomorrow because I want to put the Enterprise together, and then I'm going to hang a shelf in my office to display it so it doesn't get knocked over by my cats.
Yeah.
Probably the most boring out of everyone. I mean, I haven't played as many games as you guys have. Most of the games I have played have been retro games. I've been playing my Sega Genesis Mini, adding games to the Sega Genesis Mini, hacking it, and fixing my Dreamcast. I got it to read. It wouldn't read discs, and I got it to read discs again. So that's mostly what I've been doing. I'm pretty
boring. Yeah. Hey, it's stuff that you like, so it's not really boring. So. Jeremy, did you want to go next, or?
Oh, I can. I mean, my life hasn't really changed all that much, except, because I've continued to work just like Joe was talking about. The difference is I've worked virtual, so really the impact it's had to my life is I'm not really talking to anyone in terms of face-to-face conversations. We're not leaving the house, so I'm doing a lot of DoorDash and Grubhub and stuff for food.
Yeah.
Even Amazon Prime Now, groceries, and picking up groceries from the grocery store. We kind of pull up to the side of the grocery store and just load up the car. So the only time we ever get out is when we go to Costco.
Yeah.
Because here in Washington, they're a lot slower than all of you guys are, because you guys live in states that opened up probably a month ago, or started to at least. Washington, we just moved into phase 2 yesterday, which means some things open up, but only at a limited capacity. So I was able to actually get my hair cut yesterday, which is great. I've been needing that for quite a while. But I mean, outside of that, what we've done, we've been playing games a lot more together. That's the one thing that I think came out of the quarantine, was that we're talking more. I mean, not only with these podcasts and stuff and our website stuff and the all the other things for the YouTube channel, but Aaron's actually involved in stuff which we haven't really talked as much as we have been until now. So
yeah, I mean, that's the main thing too. It's like, yeah, we were playing a lot more together because everybody was mostly at home, or at least most of us were. It seems like certain people were still working, but they were working from home, so it was a little bit easier to play games or whatever, because you were able to kind of sleep, or some of the people were able to sleep in more, so it was easier for them to have a more open schedule than they usually do.
Yeah. Okay, I guess was that everything?
Pretty much. I mean, I can continue talking, but it's going to be the same stuff. I mean, literally.
Okay. Well, I'll get to what I've been doing, because I don't know if you guys remember. I know Joe doesn't, because he wasn't living with us in California. But when I was in high school, during lunch breaks, I would do tabletop RPGs, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and Shadowrun, Warhammer, Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, all that kind of stuff. And then basically when we moved to Florida, I didn't have anybody to play that kind of stuff with, so I ended up playing Magic the Gathering and watching anime and stuff. But recently, a couple of years ago, I started watching things like Critical Role and Dimension 20 and High Rollers
and tabletop, probably
a bunch of all of the stuff that's on Twitch and YouTube that's all about tabletop RPGs. And then about a year and a half ago, I ended up buying the gift set for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. It's got like the DM's guide, the monster manual, and the player's handbook, and a DM screen and stuff. And recently, because I've had a lot more free time, even though I'm still considered essential, I still have, more time because my daughter doesn't go to school, so she's been here and all that kind of stuff. So I've had more free time, and I've been actually developing a single player D&D adventure for her, where she's a drow elf wizard, and her mentor was meant to be the magic defense teacher at an adventuring academy, and she goes missing. And then my daughter ends up having to enroll in the school to try and figure out the mystery of why she's gone missing. And it's basically Harry Potter, but the Dungeons and Dragons version. And I mean, I've built it up to where there are 4 houses. They're like a martial class one that's like fighters and stuff. One for arcane magic users, one for divine magic users, and one for like stealth people like rogues and rangers and stuff. And it's been really freaking fun just to be able to build all this, because I basically made an entire separate version of a place that feels like Hogwarts, but it's, of course, since it's not just magic, it's like got a lot of different stuff in it. It's got a whole bunch of the races, because they're not just humans. And it's just been a whole lot of fun coming up with like new magical items and new characters and silly things and Easter eggs and references and things that she's going to have fun finding and unraveling the mystery of and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. We haven't actually started the game yet. She's created her character, and I like wrote a letter that's like from her mentor to her saying that there's something weird happening at this new adventuring academy and that she has to help her find out. But that was like, she got the letter a month ago and hasn't heard from her since. So she sets out to this academy, and it's going to get real weird and fun. Yeah. So that's what
That's pretty cool.
That's one thing I haven't done in a long time, is do like any D&D campaigns and stuff. I think we did like years ago, like a couple of times, but I don't haven't done anything recently. But that's another.
Honestly,
thing.
I don't know if I've ever done that.
Part of me wanted to see if you guys wanted to do it on
Dude, I definitely think that we could if you wanted to make a campaign. I would be totally down.
I'd be down. I've been wanting.
But what's it called?
I'd be down for that. I haven't played.
Yeah, and Aaron might be too. You might want to.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've never done it, so it would be a learning curve for me.
Oh, totally. Like, and I mean, I think all you guys would need is
maybe some dice,
because I have the rest of the stuff. Yeah, well, yeah, and a set of
polyhedral dice.
And,
it's like
it's
20-sided
dice. A set of 7
yeah,
dice from a
D4
D4.
Okay.
Because they have like the 20-sided die or whatever. But what's it called? One thing.
Well, that's what I thought about doing. Lately. We need to figure out stuff to do on Twitch besides gaming, because, well, that's why we were, anyways. I didn't want to like take this over and talk about other stuff, but I guess it really doesn't matter since it's kind of shooting the shit anyway. But
yeah, totally. Like, now that we're done with that, we can just fucking talk about, like, is there any cool stuff that you guys have recently found out about that you're like, holy crap, you guys need to know about this? Not necessarily for us on the podcast, but for anybody.
Well, I know it's not really like certain new stuff anyway, but like the other day, it's mostly because I work at Goodwill, and then they, what's it called, all sorts of stuff usually comes in. And the other day I found, because I watched Tabletop with Will Wheaton a lot, I wish that they kept going with it. I don't know why they stopped. Probably money reasons or something.
Yeah, it was a
so
thing.
But like, what's it called? So I think it's Betrayal on House on the Hill was one of the games.
Yeah.
And it came in at work the other day, so I had to buy it because I've been so intrigued with playing the game. Mostly because it's like a cooperative thing, but then it turns, and then
every game
one
is
dude
different.
sabotages
And
it
it's like,
at one point, and then you're trying to escape the mansion. Or
yeah, and they have an expansion, and one of the ones in the expansion is like normally there's the whole team, and then there's a betrayer, and the betrayer like sabotages the rest of the team. But there's one in the expansion where the betrayer is actually the good guy, and the other people are the bad guys. And I was like, holy crap!
see,
I
that would
like
be
when it's
kind of
like
tight, yeah.
when it flips it
Yeah,
around like that.
like what's it called? That's the type of stuff that I've been enjoying. Whenever I do find it, is like seeing stuff that I've been watching videos of. Those, it's like my Settlers of Catan one, where mom and dad found a Game of Thrones version. So
Yeah.
I was like, this is so neat the way that they have the games. I mean, sure, they cost a lot to do them, but like, yeah, I'm definitely
Yeah, if you
intrigued with
love
playing
playing
them.
games,
And
that shit
what's it called? Like, probably some of the stuff that I'm intrigued to see, like whenever it does come out, probably the next few months. It's probably at least the Black Widow movie. I think from all the Marvel movies, I'm always down to watch too. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to enjoy the New Mutants, but also at the same time, I think it might be good just because they're doing like a horror version of like uh of an X-Men thing, where like it's
yeah,
a horror version of a superhero movie. Supposedly, Doctor Strange 2
yeah.
is supposed to be like that too, where they're going to be
It's
going
supposed
into
to be
weird
weird.
stuff. Supposedly, Loki's going to be in it and all sorts of stuff, which I think they could introduce a
Yeah.
lot of people. Like, it would be cool if, like, they say that Nightmare is going to be in it, but it would be also cool if they introduce Mephisto and stuff in it. Or yeah,
There's
like
all sorts of stuff.
that's why I usually always never have a problem with them doing what's it called, any of the Marvel movies anyway. Those are like the main movies that I watch now, really. Other than like seeing weird
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, that's one thing that I watched during the quarantine was the Daniel Radcliffe movie Guns Akimbo, because they can't.
I haven't seen it, but I've
Well,
heard good
they
things.
released it. You know, like how there were certain movies that they came out with where they're like $20 for the movie for you to rent it, and it was like Bloodshot and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
And it's like 25
Yeah,
to buy
yeah,
it. And you're like,
exactly.
why would I rent it?
But like,
It's like just
but
$5
yeah,
more to
one of
buy
the
it.
main ones that came out was Guns Akimbo, and I was like, I was so intrigued with watching it. So like, I found out. I mean, it costed like $7, but that's better than like going to the theater. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just watch that. So that was one of the main movies that I watched, and it's just so weird. It kind of reminds me of the movie Wanted, which is one of my all-time favorite like comic book, like offshoot comic books where not a lot of people noticed that it was a comic book movie.
Right. Well, yeah, because Wanted the movie in comparison to Wanted the comic book is
And
completely
especially,
different.
a lot of people didn't even realize that Wanted came out with their own game too, which was awesome because doing the
Yeah.
curving bullets thing, like they actually, the game was super awesome, and I don't even know if I'll be able to find it anywhere. For a good price at least, it'll probably be like, oh yeah, $20 or $30 because they probably only made like so many copies. But it's definitely, that was one of the first games where I built it up where I went from like each game mode and replayed it. And I went up to hard mode and I was going through that campaign before I stopped playing it.
Yeah, you're like, okay,
yeah,
let's
like
see
I was just like,
oh yeah,
it was one of those games where it was so much fun that I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try. And I usually don't do that much most of the time with video games. I like playing easy stuff. Like I don't like having too much difficulty when it comes to games. I don't.
You don't want to get your butt
unless
kicked,
it's like
'cause then it's
Bloodborne
like
or Dark Souls or something where you know that it's
where
going
you
to be
know it's
tough
going to be
and
hard.
you've got to figure it out. Same with Mega Man. Really, at the end of the day, I talk about it a lot. Is that Mega Man was such a great game back in the day, just because they would do. It was a difficult game, but if you learned who to go after at first, it made the game super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it was like
strategy
kind of
was
like a
the thing that
puzzle,
saved the
right?
day.
Where you're trying to figure out a puzzle on like how to like beat these guys, and then like certain times you would find out it's like super easy to fight this one boss and then take down all the rest of them. Like I remember playing Dark Souls for the first time, where I'm going through it and the first boss is within like 30 seconds of the damn game. You go through a door and he's right there. But like certain people will fight him.
And he's like, oh,
Yeah,
you're going to die.
like when it first came out, a lot of people were just fighting him and didn't realize that if you kept going, if you just ran away from him, you would get a weapon that would pretty much kill him in a few hits, like later on. And like that's the type of shit that I like seeing in games.
But
It's
that's
like if it's
also,
difficult,
yeah.
at least finding ways to like make it easier on yourself.
But with that one, it was interesting in that it never told you to do that. You know, like it's like
Yeah, like it just goes, hey, if you're willing to look, you'll find the things
Yeah.
that you need. And I like that. Because like you can bash your head against the wall all day, or you can go over there and get the thing, and then come down and jump off the thing, stab him in his forehead, and
Yeah,
then he's dead.
and that's one thing that's main thing about Dark Souls and that whole From Software stuff is that it seems like either you run and gun where you're just pretty much running the whole time, or you have to be super slow and then like kill every single enemy or something. It seems like most of the people like that play the game usually just run and gun the whole time. Like they'll just sit there and be like, I'm gonna skip these people and like get to the next section. But they're like checkpoints are so fucking far from each other. It's like takes forever. That's the only reason why I couldn't keep playing it, was because it was like it would take forever for you to get to the next section. Like Bloodborne, I was playing Bloodborne, and then I had to like look up a video to find out where the next like bonfire type thing was. It was like so far away where you would have to go past the first boss, and I was like, there ain't no way I'm gonna pass this boss. Like mostly because I'm not that great at video games. Sure, I could figure out puzzles and everything like pretty quickly and everything, but like if it's any type of strategy involved with a certain boss, like the Surge is one of the main ones that stand out to me. I've redone the Surge boss so many times. I was doing him like 100 times, where I was trying to do the technique that people told you to do to beat him. And then every time I would lose, and it's mostly because I can't block for shit. I don't ever block when I should. So that's the main reason why I die so many times.
Oh, I'm terrible when it comes to like, oh, hey, you should have a shield and a thing. It's like, oh, I have the shield, but I never use it.
That's me in fighting games.
Oh, yeah, I like with Nier Automata or Automata or however you want to say it. Like I was beating my head against the wall on the first fucking section of that game, and then I realized you can spam dodge all day.
Yeah.
And like then I was like, oh, this isn't nearly as terrible as I was making it in my own head. And it doesn't help that like you can't save the game at all until you beat that entire first section, and that entire first.
Well, yeah, when it
like
opens up the servers.
Long.
I mean,
like
I like that game though.
Like, oh, that game's dope, but it's like when you're like hitting your head against the wall and going, man, this game sucks, and then you're like, oh no, turns out I just wasn't paying attention to this thing.
It's like, oh, I just didn't notice that
like,
I suck. No.
Yeah, and now I've been playing it for like 37
It's like that's
hours.
And
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
that's like one of the main things that we did off of the quarantine was me, and Jeremy, and Aaron were redoing the same missions over and
I was
over
just
again.
gonna bring that up. The
Yeah,
Whisper
because
mission
that was
and the 0 hour mission.
Yeah, both of those were driving us nuts.
They still are, man.
And it's mostly because the 0 hour mission, right? So they have a thing in it where you could use Risk Runner, which is an exotic submachine gun that they have in it, where if you get hit with lightning, you could chain lightning kills and stuff. But for the 0 hour mission, it makes you run through it super fast. And this is for I'm explaining it for everybody that has never played it or whatever.
well,
But
yeah,
so they'll
there's
chain
people listening that
lightning
have no
people,
idea.
and the main ones that enemies that you face that makes you tear through them are a race called the Fallen, where they just mostly shoot arc weapons. So we would go through this thing super fast, and then eventually we started getting to the it was taking us forever, mostly because they do parts where you fight a bunch of people and you have to kill every enemy, and then you'll do a jumping section and then go against this robot trying to hit switches and everything. And then on top of it, then you finally get through there, then you do a boss level where you have to kill every enemy, and you got 20 minutes to do it in. So, and if you're running gunning, you could even if you're bad at games like we are, you could make it there in about 12 minutes. The best we've made it there was 9. And the problem was you could use Risk Runner for 75% of the game.
Yeah.
And at one point, we didn't realize that when we were using Risk Runner, me and Aaron kept on getting kicked out. And then we were trying to figure out what it was from. And supposedly, I guess it's because Risk Runner destroys them so bad that it makes the mission easier. So it would keep kicking us out at one point. So we would have to switch weapons just to get past the last section. And it was such a bad thing that it's been notorious for 3 years. So pretty much during the quarantine, we were doing that mission and then the Whisper of the Worm mission constantly. We were doing it 5 or 6 times in a day.
And I think the thing that bothers me is the fact that as a guy who came into the game during New Light, it shows the New Light quests at the beginning of your quests, as a whole new section. And the only 2 quests I have left for New Light are the Whisper of the Worm and Outbreak Perfected quests. So the 2 missions you guys were talking about that suck, and complete the Leviathan raid. So it's the game is taunting me with the crap I suck at, just to be hey,
same here.
Shit. Let me show you,
dude. And I love Destiny 2. It's so fun at times. The combat and everything is so good, but then some of their damn missions in this game, especially
all
the exotic
raids,
ones, are a bitch.
All the raids, and then these 2 exotic missions. Well, actually, the exotic missions aren't that bad, except for the fact you need 15 stages to finish them.
Oh yeah, the main standout is the Nascent Dawn one. Good Lord, you have 17 or 18 steps just so you could get the Polaris Lance.
I don't know, Josh. We haven't gotten through Izanagi's burden yet.
Yeah,
that seems like a pain in the ass because we had to forge.
I've gotten 1 lock on that.
We had to. Yeah, I'm almost down to the last lock, but to get the last lock, you have to do 12 things.
Yeah, so you do
and
3 forge.
Once you do that,
the stuff before that, then you have.
But then once you do that, then you have to do the Shattered Throne dungeon, Then you have to do a special version of a strike. I think it's the Corrupted or one of those, just to get the Izanagi's burden or whatever it's called.
And like all the weapons are like that. All the like I'm just like, dude, really?
Like I thought I was close once I opened the box, and then Josh pointed out that we had to do extra stuff after opening the box. I'm like, oh, great.
Especially when, like, the most convoluted part is the Shattered Throne, where it's just a dungeon. And it's like there's so many damn steps into the damn thing.
We tried to do it just to do it, and we couldn't get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that sucks about the raids and the dungeons and stuff is the fact that you're completely reliant on going on the internet to figure out what the hell you're actually supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because the game doesn't tell you anything.
And I can't even
so it's just like,
imagine the times when these were new raids, right? And nobody
knew how to do it, and they were just slamming their head against the wall trying to figure it out.
There was some YouTube videos of this dude, Marco Style or whatever, where like he'll talk about, like, he's like, oh yeah, this is the first raid that I do, and I absolutely suck, right? And they spent 14 hours on one of the raids. I was like, dude, I can't even imagine. I would be so furious trying to get this shit, and like, I already get bad after like a couple hours, but 14 hours, good Lord, that is way too much time and effort to get through a damn raid. And that's why I could see people like paying money to somebody to get them through the damn raid in like 5 minutes. Just to be like, oh yeah, we're going to get you through this real quick.
It's still going to take you like an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's the sad thing.
Like, I don't have that kind of time. I'd rather do the menagerie and get cool crap that way or some shit.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be like, oh, hey, that's a fancy golden helmet that took me an hour and a half to get.
And it was like it's like Aaron was talking about the other day too, was when you go to Zur, right? And he
that sucked for him.
Exotic Ingram first before he got the other stuff that was in Zur, and then it gave him the stuff that he was selling at the store.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh my god!
If Zur has anything that I don't have, I get it from him first, and then I use the Exotic Ingram, because that's a possibility of shit that happens. And you spent $95 on something that could have cost you $23.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the main. Some of this stuff is just like so difficult. All I know is that I keep on telling Aaron and Jeremy, when we finally make it through the damn 0 hour mission, I'm gonna be like, this better be the best game in the gun in the game. Otherwise, I'm gonna be riding.
Oh yeah, just wait until you get the Whisper of the Worm.
Oh yeah.
And then in order to get the Catalyst, you have to do the heroic version of that mission.
Well, they do that on both, but at least on the heroic ones, you don't have a time limit, right? I'd much rather do that. Like, if they gave us the option where it was like doing the heroic version on like 30 minutes or something, and then the main one to be like no time limit, dude, more people would end up having the damn gun. But that's probably why they have it set up the way that they do.
Well, I know it's like don't make it easy. Just like with Dark Souls, it's like if you don't make it easy, then when you finally finish it, you're gonna be like, hell yeah! But still, it's like, why would I do that to myself?
Yeah, and I still think that one of the best weapons in the game is the one exotic that they give you, like, through one of the main quests or whatever, which is Risk Runner. I still think that's one of the best weapons that you could use in that damn game, especially against certain people. Like every time, like I have like almost 10,000 kills on it just because I use it so often.
I think it's BS that you can't use Risk Runner on that 0 hour mission. They need to fix that shit. I mean, if you can have a weapon in a game, you should be able to use it everywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, you guys weren't
like,
playing when the Telesto was broken. The Telesto is a fusion rifle, a linear fusion rifle that basically, wherever you fire it, it drops bombs in a line where it's firing, and it got to a point where it was so broken they had to basically take it out of the game. Like you could still have it in your inventory, but it wouldn't let you use it until they figured out why it was bugged, because it would just like drop bombs all day, I guess. It was
yeah,
crazy.
that's what I heard
So
about.
yeah,
I think it was Prometheus Lens like ages ago too, where they were talking about that in the Crucible, it would just wreck people all the time, just because it was massively overpowered.
yeah, because I
And
think
still,
at one
Prometheus
point,
Lens is an awesome weapon, though. But
yeah,
yeah,
because I think at one point it was like instead of starting at a certain point and then ramping up the more you had it on a person, or the longer you were firing it, it just started at the top immediately. So it was like, oh, I'm just gonna burn a hole in this guy in 2 seconds.
yeah, and there's still weapons that do that anyway. But like, also at the same time, there's way too many times whenever I play the Crucible, I'm like, how the fuck did you kill me so fast? And then I find out that it's mostly because certain weapons, if you like, I think it's Izanagi's Burden. Like, even if you hit somebody in the chest with it, it's like a one-shot kill.
Yeah,
I'm like, damn, that's
I mean,
pretty
it's the same
severe.
like it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
kill
but
you.
like you think about most of the time, it's always like the headshot. Like if you get the headshot, you get the insta kill or whatever. But sometimes it's like amazing to me, like how some of these guys pull off the trick shots that they do, though. Like because there's certain people that you'll see from all the way across the map, and they're shooting you with a sniper rifle. I don't even know how the hell. Or if they're jumping up in the air, I don't know how they're able to do that shit too, because I can't, I don't have
Right?
enough
Like,
speed to be able
I
to pick
mean,
somebody off of that.
if you're a warlock with the wings of Sacred Dawn and it kind of like holds you in the air, and then you can take a second, yeah. But outside of that, no idea. But all right, I think that's enough like shitting on Destiny.
Kind of like loving and hating on Destiny.
Well, yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of great things in Destiny, and there's a lot of wrong things in Destiny.
And I'm sure that what I'll say is like going to have people freak out, where I think Destiny 2 or Destiny period is like a better gaming franchise than Halo is. Like,
I think
so many
honestly,
people will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But
like now that Bungie has like complete control over Destiny, I think that's way better for the franchise than it was under Activision. And I hope that when Destiny 3 comes out, I've told this to other people, but I hope when Destiny 3 comes out, it's not called Destiny 3, and that basically it does like Destiny 2 did, where you can play the legacy content, the previous campaigns. Yeah. That way, like, for people who have never played Destiny before, they don't feel lost in the whole thing. You can go to somebody and be like, oh, I can play through all the original campaigns of Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, so I don't feel like I'm lost. And I can get a whole bunch of lore bits, maybe some cool armor.
Well, it seems like from what I hear is that they didn't want to keep making like sequels to the game, right? They just wanted to keep, and that's one of the main reasons why Bungie quit or got released from it, was because they didn't want to keep, like, I think that they could totally keep playing Destiny 2 and just keep on adding content to Destiny 2, and then everything should be fine.
I've heard a rumor that
like, I think it's
June 9th.
Sometimes I'm wondering if, like, in our day and age, when it comes to video games, that there shouldn't have to have sequels to games anymore, or to a certain degree, it seems like how they say games as a service and stuff like that, like Destiny 2 and Fallout 76 and all these other games, like Anthem, even though the Anthem is pretty boring, even though they say that they're retooling it or whatever, but
better.
Yeah, like where you don't need to keep making sequels, you just keep adding content. Yeah, And some games are getting super good just because they keep on adding more content that you could have in the game.
That's
right?
I
mean, like,
that's how I feel about the WWE games. I don't think they should release a game every year. I think they should do it every.
They should release a roster update.
A roster update.
well, I mean,
like costume
New
update,
game modes, that kind
game
of
modes,
yeah.
and maybe like set updates to like Raw and SmackDown or pay-per-views instead of doing a whole full name game from scratch. And then every couple years release a brand new game with innovations.
Shoot, I don't even think that they should. I think with the 2K games, how they were doing TK20 or 2K20 and all that stuff, I don't even think that they should do. I think they should have WWE 2K or whatever, and where it's like throughout the whole year or whatever, and that one they just constantly update, and then they change rosters if people show up. I would think that they would keep the whoever's in the game if they already have like their images and all that stuff, and if contracts change it or whatever, that they already like got the likeness of the person in, they should just keep them in. But if they get new characters where all they would have to do is just put their model in and then do their entrance and shit, I'm sure that it costs them a lot less money to constantly update stuff on the same game rather than them make another game every single year. And then on the other hand, on all the other 2K games, if you're doing the side one, like how the what is it called, Battlegrounds or whatever, the new one, where it's more kiddie type.
What's like the NBA 2K Playgrounds is the how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like,
which actually, I honestly think, I think that's a good actually option for WWE type stuff. It kind of harkens me back to what was it called? Was it WWE WrestleMania back in the day, the arcade one?
Yeah.
I think it's WrestleMania, the arcade game.
Yeah, so it harkens me back to that. Even looking at the trailer.
I'm actually okay.
But what I read is 2K22 or whatever, 2K22 or whatever. I don't remember which one they're working on, but they're hard.
They canceled 21.
Yeah, they're working. They're going to work towards 22 because they've actually reached out to people to say, hey, what features do you want to this game? So it sounds like they're actually starting to listen to the fans and the people are
do everything that they had in the game before.
Well, and what they mentioned was they're going to harken back to the SmackDown Here Comes the Pain game and No Mercy, I think it was. It's going to have more of the feel of those two.
Yeah, they definitely need to end up. I love the 2K20 series to a degree. Like, I like how it's like more realistic and stuff, but I miss No Mercy and shit. If they would have just revamped those games, like No Mercy or like WrestleMania 2000 or whatever, I mean, they could just do like where they name it Backlash or whatever, but then keep the same core mechanics to it and do their own game. Like, I think that the 2K ones should be their own thing, where it's more sports type related, where it's more like the simulation type, where it's the actual like trying to be as close as WWE is doing right now. But then they also have the arcadey type where they're completely absurd. And they do like kind of the crazy like No Mercy stuff where like you powerbomb people on their neck and stuff like that. Like where it's because those games have always been more fun to me than doing, because like I could play a decent amount of time, but then I'll get super bored and not want to touch them for like a long time.
I think they need to update.
All right, well, I think we could end up doing this all day, but I think we should end the podcast so that we don't do this for 19 hours.
No, we're going to do a 4-hour-long podcast where we talk about dumb shit.
Because Jeremy and I haven't talked about some of the other things we learned while we were on quarantine.
Well, Joe, keep on going.
Yeah, I haven't talked much in the 55 minutes or whatever
Me
we're at.
either.
Smooth. I know we kind of derailed
My bad.
this whole thing.
No,
But,
it's not a big deal. I didn't really have much to add. If I have stuff to add, I'll say it.
Well, the only thing I just
we could always end up doing another one of these
no,
down the line.
the only thing I would have added is just you asked if there was something we were doing like we thought was interesting, and I just discovered a new YouTube channel I thought was cool. Being that you're a comic geek, you would probably like this. It's called Casually Comics, and it's by a girl called Sasha Wood. It's really interesting. She just like talks about character histories and stuff, goes over comics, not really reviews them, just talks about them. Kind of interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of like how Comics Explained. I think that's another YouTuber that I watch every once in a while where he'll explain certain parts of the comics and stuff like that. Like I watched one where he was fully detailing Venom versus Carnage and stuff. And those are decent, like little things to just watch, especially if you haven't like read every single comic.
It's so if y'all like comics, I would definitely check out her channel.
Cool. We might have to do a YouTube only version of one of these down the line. But yeah. So I think it's a pretty good place to end it. I don't know about y'all. But yeah. So if you like this fancy podcast here, you can go to our website, theheartofgeek.com, see the other podcasts we got going on. Also, see the link there that lead to our 2 YouTube channels, our regular Heart of Geek for adults and the Heart of Geek Kids Edition for kids. There's a lot more content going to be coming on the kids channel. We've only started adding to it recently. But yeah, we hope to see you guys either here, our other podcasts, or our YouTube channels. And until then, we'll see you later. Bye.
All right, peace. See you
Bye.
later, guys.